I broke everything. Well, you ever not do something for so long that you have no idea what you're doing anymore? That is where I am at. I'm feverishly flipping through windows. And double checking everything. I can verify a few things at least. And one of those things is that the titles are all screwed up. But that's okay. Always figure things out live. It's tastier that way. Yeah, so I think this is a good case in point for why I probably shouldn't use Restream. If I have to type in the actual title of what I was going to use in this one more time. There we go. Is that working now? We reload, we find out. I don't think it's working. I think I'm just stuck in this limbo permanently. And there's nothing to be done about it. Who likes economics? Virtually nobody? Just me? Someone has to. No, I'm still screwing around with settings. Yeah, I don't understand this, so it should be easy to do what I'm trying to do here. And allegedly these are all saving as I'm editing them. But I'm just not seeing it. Maybe I'm just crazy. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the answer. All right. So I guess I'm just apparently this is what playing Suikoden looks like. You know, this is very apt for what I was going to talk about. But before I do that, I was introduced to the Michigander accent. Well, I mean, not really. It was a meme someone brought to my attention in Michigan, which is part of the digital universe. Yeah, so like me just saying fur there instead of for, probably Michigan, or at least Midwest. Now it was some weird video that some guy did. And when I say weird, it's just like it's a little bit humorous. But it was people in Michigan pronouncing garage versus garage. Because I guess a lot of people in Michigan say garage. And it was kind of funny because like half of the examples I didn't actually say them like he was saying because I learned most of those. I learned a lot of the larger words from books, and so I don't have as much of the Michigan accent for those. And yes, I am still trying to figure out settings on the fly here. It's even harder while talking. No, I can't seem to. I cannot fix it at all. Everything seems to be working, but the titles didn't change, and that's annoying. I better check my... Yeah, it's... Everything is working, but I'm supposed to have a different title than what I have. Update all. Yeah, I don't know. I better put Twitch up over here because I have no idea if any of the chat thingies are working. And I probably won't until Atomic drops in randomly, if he drops in. Alright, so my throat is practically completely gone. I have been away. But yeah, funny stuff happened. And by funny, I mean horrendously, horrifically funny stuff. Which probably requires a little bit more up close and... Oh my god, I almost made a furry joke. I almost said up close and personal. Okay. I will tell you the story. Because I know nothing about the story. Everybody else in VTuber La La Land knows the story better than me. Because this is my experience learning about everything that went down with VShojo. And by everything, I mean the bare basics minimum, which I feel like that more than validates me talking on the subject like I know what I'm talking about. But only because of other experiences. And by only, I mean, nah, I pretty much got this. I got this. I don't know all the ins and outs, but, I mean, come on. You know me. You don't know me. Economics. What are economics? You walk up to a dude, he has a coffee. That coffee is in a pot, and he will pour you a cup of that coffee. Maybe he wants to drink all the coffee himself. You don't know, but there's a way to find out. We have this little thing called money. We won't get into the exact explanations of where money comes from, but we have it. Let's just give that as that's a given in this little fictional universe that I'm creating on the fly here. It exists, you're stuck with it. Deal with it, Kami. And Piccolo, you too. So, he has a cup of coffee, you want a cup of coffee. You give him the monies, and he pours you this cup of coffee and gives you the coffee. For the moment, we will forget the funny little tiny dude who runs up between you and says, hey, I get 10% of that. Either the coffee or the money, doesn't matter. Is my Odin 2 on? My Odin 2 just sent me an email. Why do I have email coming through my Odin 2? Did I set that up? Transactions. So, you get the coffee, and you now have information that you were not privy to a moment ago, because the coffee has been exchanged. Why is this important? Why does it matter that it went from one person's hand to another? and it's a very, very simple thing that 99.9% of the population does not understand. And it's the basis for all economic transaction. There is this moment, we'll call it the now. It's a singularity in which no actual time can pass because it's instantaneous. And this instantaneous moment, which has nothing to do with the electronic instantaneous, but is similar in a few respects. Just never mind that. We're not talking about that. This moment is a moment in which a man who doggone it, Atomic, you picked the best times. We're talking about coffee. Do you want to talk about coffee? Guess who got Subway and got caught getting said Subway? What do you mean get caught? Is it illegal to get Subway where you are? Okay. All right. Let me finish this one train of thought before I get distracted, because you know how I am. All right, so you've got the coffee, and you've got this instantaneous moment wherein the coffee moved from one person's hand to another and money was exchanged in the process. Same thing. The exact same thing happened because they're both commodities. The money moved from one hand to another, while the coffee went in the opposite direction. Let's call it the velocity of it doesn't matter. The fact that two things moved in opposite directions is an occurrence that happened, but the point we're getting at here is in this instantaneous moment, you have gained also information, and that information is simply this. In that moment, the person who gave you the coffee valued the money more than the coffee, because that person was willing to exchange the coffee for the money. And in that same moment, in the same way, you valued the coffee more than the money, because you decided that you would rather part with the money in lieu of having the coffee. This is probably the most fundamental and important thing to understand in all of economics, because economics is based entirely off of tangible information. Tangible information is information that you can actually look at and observe and say, this is what happened, these were the actions that were taken, and therefore these are the results that will be produced. And the results in this case were someone getting money and someone getting coffee, the action being the exchange. So when this happens, you have a foundation from which you can look at all other economic instances and determine things much more logically. Now we'll expound upon this in a bit, but we gotta jump on over to our boy Atomic here. Yeah, so and maybe you can help me out here a bit, Atomic. I don't know if the titles are coming through on everything. I think it's still saying that I'm suicodening because Restream is too incompetent to change the titles after me trying to update them 5 times. And by Restream being too incompetent, I mean I'm too incompetent. And when I say I'm too incompetent, what I really mean is that Restream made it more difficult than it should be, which is going to play into this conversation, let me tell you. But you would understand why I'm joking about that a lot more if the title was making sense. So, what you think? Do we talk more coffee? Oh, you gave me proof on Discord. Okay. Looking on... let's see. Dixord. Where is Dixord? Why don't I have... Dixord is always supposed to be open. Where did it go? I killed it. I killed Dixord. Okay, I'll just look at it on my phone. Apparently Windows 11 doesn't know how to window anymore. Well, if the title was up, it would make more sense. But apparently it's not. All right. Yep, suicoden. Okay, so we are gathered here today to discuss economics, the VTuber corporate landscape, and the business landscape of the modern world in general. And I guess my witty title for said conversation doesn't matter, because I'm giving Restream money to make this process easier and fail on all accounts. I mean, in all seriousness, like, I'm just going to... Ryuji sent me a link, I believe, for something else that was free that apparently does the job a lot better. But, you know, I'm trying this whole thing where I do this 3 separate ways, going to... Isn't it Ryuji? Have I been... Is it Ryuji? Ryuji. I'm looking at my phone. Is it Ryu? Wait, why did I say Ryuji? Do I know a Ryuji on... I probably know a Ryuji as well. Is it just Ryu? Ryu is like my best character in Street Fighter games. All of them up until 4. Yeah. Why did I call him Ryu? I had to have seen something Ryuji recently. I don't know. I've been doing everything but actually paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing here. So this is what happens when I go 3 weeks without doing this. I can't remember how to set anything up. Schizo. That's me. Oh, okay, so I'm looking at him right now. It says Ryuji Kaiju. He's Ryuji Kaiju VTuber. How can I not call him Ryuji? It's Ryu o'clock in here. No, I'm not. I am not. I mean, I'm not looking at his Twitch name. I'm looking at his Twitter name, so maybe it's different on Twitter? Oh my god. Okay, so... Alright, I'm sending you the proof now. This is the best stream ever. There you go. Just ignore the scores of hentai I tacked onto that one. Alright, so it says Ryuji, so I'm not crazy. You're the schizo here. And, I mean, left and right on a good day, I guess. Well, apparently you are, because you started this by telling me that you were caught getting Subway. Caught by whom? Some figment of your imagination that doesn't allow you to have Subway? Well... So wait, did they want you to share? Oh, I see. You need to do a whip round for that. As they call it in good old Britannia. You hold out the hat and get the monies. And get everyone to pay. It's a charming place, Britain. Never go there. Complete cesspool now. Avoid London. Go. You could probably... I don't know. The farmlands are probably still okay, maybe. Utter cesspool. Europe is a cesspool. I mean, maybe not all of it, but... The majority of the British parts. All the cities. I guess that's the same here, though. All of the American cities are kind of cesspools, too. But I have doxed for you. I mentioned the Michigan accent thing, so that's my area. Subway's not that hard to get up to $50 of food. Doxy Heingart. That would... Maybe that's what I should call maybe that's what I should call this version, which I really need to work on that whole resize thing. Doxy Heingart. No, I was thinking of this one would be the one is Muppy, and the other one could just be Fuppy, because of when Ryuji said, or no, when I said I was in his chat and I said it's muckin' fuppy. Yeah, didn't I tell you that? Like, I'm pretty sure there's 3 videos of me explaining that. So like, the lore goes like this. Originally, this was the form in which Muppy landed in the past, time travel-wise. And in this form, it was very depressing for Muppy, which is me. So, lots of smoking caused this voice to happen. I could have sworn I've told you that before, though. You know what? I don't actually know. What does the angry... I'm angry now. This is apparently what angry Muppy looks like. I pressed the angry button. This is happy. Not this deep. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. I mean, if I was sitting down and having a good old chat with someone and, like, the first words out of their mouth were just the absolute spewage of a Dr. Girlfriend vocalism, I would probably be like, okay, well, we can be friends. Because that actually is kind of cool, but... And besides, what are you calling me? This is why I smoked so much. Oh, good, the sad button works too. I needed that. That's... that be what it be. Yeah, so I have apparently 2 different sizes of PNGs for these separate models. So when I do the switch between them, Fuppy is enormous, and then I try to switch back, and Muppy is tiny. They're both Muppy though. It's supposed to be yeah, I'm breaking the 4th wall here. It's supposed to be the same character. It's like Ranma 1/2. That's the easiest way to explain it. All right. So anyway, yes, that is what you were calling me. Probably true on stream. I mean, look at this guy. He's a little femboyish. But I can crush coconuts in my biceps, so don't mess with me. Twinkification. I'm sorry. That's still my favorite piece of added lore from you, is when I take the glasses off and you call me the myopic twink. That's I'm gonna make that canon. There's gonna be you're gonna be in the book, in some form or another. Maybe you won't be called Atomic, but yeah, and that's gonna be a thing. Congratulations, you're famous. You're literally so famous that you are being put in a book by a VTuber who is watched by you and you alone. Well done, lad. Don't be fooled by the 2 viewers thing. I've had to keep Twitch open so I could inspect things that were going on while I figure out how this stuff works again. It does, but don't you have like 15 waifus or something? And they're like almost all like guys? Oh, having a Tourette's attack. I just twisted my shoulder in a way that human beings should not. That hurt. Okay. I did the coffee thing, so... Yeah, there is, but I mean, I try. I really try. So, I don't know. I mean, would it make you feel better if I just did this for a while? I don't think this one is quite as expressive, though, when I get, like, all of it. If I try to do this, it's just, like, getting all happy and swinging around. I hope I made your day. The last 4 digits of my SSN. That's not going to help you. You need the rest of them, too. Do you know how hard it would be for you to dig mine up? You know how old I am, right? It would take you forever to trace that back. You'd have to look up on the internet what range and what number it would go through, and then you'd have... I am Muppy. I am always right. Praise me. Okay, so In order that my talking is taken slightly more seriously on this subject, we'll go back to Dude Fella Muppy. But we're getting a close up here today. So, VTuber drama. Now, my only really enjoyable VTuber drama, of course, is that which happens here, right now, between people like me and Atomic. Or when I jump into other people's chats. Who was I watching? I was watching Ryuji for a bit the other day, but I was tired, so I couldn't stay. That was fun. I jumped into Yomi Quinley's for a while. She was doing a villain VTuber superhero tier list thing. That was kind of cool. Who else did I catch recently? I don't know if I caught too many more people live. Yeah, yeah, so you and I were both in Ryuji's chat, and then I realized that you were getting ready to stream, so I was like, I'm going to bed. It's that time. It's that time. But the progression continues. I must talk more economics. Economic. Help me, help me, help. I'm glad you took it personally. I'm very glad. Call me a twink, will ya? All right, so okay, so I'm just using you as an excuse to test the emotion buttons that I haven't messed with, because I live in a digital world, so we have to actually physically press buttons. Physically in the digital world to actually. How does that work? I'm physically pressing buttons in digital form, in the digital world, to make digital actions happen that I can't do normally because I need to do it by a button because it's digital. VTubing is confusing. I don't remember where I was going with any of this. Okay, so my first big complaint. I had a title so that I could talk economics and V-Shoujo. And that title is not displaying on any of the 3 things I'm streaming to right now. It was Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. And I'm seriously considering just going back to YouTube and uploading videos to... going back to Twitch and uploading videos to YouTube. Because YouTube is a pain in the butt. And Twitch is stupid and probably going to die. And when they both inevitably do, I'll just transfer everything over to Kick. Well, YouTube probably won't die too soon, but it'll kill itself. YouTube will kill itself. In fact, this whole corpo VTuber thing is kind of related to that. We have Ironmouse, whom so in is an mouse made thereof of iron. Allegedly. Elegant. What the heck? What the heck is that? That's not. Oh, that's not an actual link. I was. I was like, what does that? Oh, is it? Is it a link? Wait a minute. I don't know if I can click that. I'm not going to click it. You click it. Did you do that, or did it, like, auto-do that? Because Restream is, like, weird. Okay, so... Get my face back in here, maybe. Okay, because Restream makes you start your chat with, you are ready to chat. And I have to do, like, CSS in OBS to get it to stop. And I'm just like, no, that's stupid. I shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, but I was looking at my... Okay, so here's what was happening. I was looking at Twitch, and I hovered my mouse over the Twitch chat in the window for the video in Twitch. Ted Bob's here. Yep, big excuses. Hey, okay, Ted Bob, no excuses here. You need to start doing more draw piles, and I think you know that. I think you know that you need to get more people doing that constantly. I don't know if I don't know if yes, I do need to stream more often. it's not my fault. There's things that go down here that I can't prevent, that just prevent me from being able to. But I shall try. You'll know when things aren't in my way anymore, because I'll be doing this like every day, and I'll have stuff everywhere, and like be drawing pictures and things. You will know. But for now, this is just casual Muppy. You're getting the cash version. So Ted Bob did a draw pile, a birthday draw pile on his channel, and we may or may not know each other, so I joined him for that. You could tell that we may or may not know each other because I'm like the one person that joins it that can't draw for beans. Nevertheless, I take up half the canvas sometimes because I'm not paying attention to the area I'm using, because virtually everyone else that's there either draws all the time or is a graphic designer, and they're much more aware of the canvas they're on than I am. Oh, you know what? Should I show one of the pictures from the draw pile? We're getting major distracted here. I'm not changing the title on this video. It's not happening. It's because I've got 3 of them that I would have to change, and this is just stupid. I'll change them in post. So let me see if did I save it to this computer? Yeah, it's the Meg and Jupo talking. I swear to God, I've taken on too many projects, even just in stream form. Like, I want to play more Suikoden, but oh yeah, it's on Discord. Okay, I'm gonna grab that image. I do have it in my downloads folder. Is this the right one? It looks like it. Oh no. Did I not save them as JPEGs? PNG. Okay, open with Paint. Just once. And where's my zoom tool? We'll pop that up here. And let's see, how did I do this before? We're going to add a window capture. I really have to get this set up to do this more easily. MS Paint. Okay. And is it displaying it? Okay, I have to look at Twitch again. It is not. It's just covering everything up. All right. Let's see. Why is it not showing the... Oh my God. Is it... I'm just moving the mouse over it and it's just doing stuff. It's slowly filling in the image. Alright, never mind. This is a failed experiment. I'm going to figure out how to do pictures properly later. No, here we go. Here's what I'll do. Muppy Scuffgart. That is... I mean, that's just normal for me. Here's what we'll do. We will open it up with... photos? I don't want to edit with photos. I want to open with photo gallery. Alright, let's see if it picks up this window. Just click on this and change that to photo gallery. Oh my God. It doesn't give me the option to do photo gallery. Are you kidding me? Desktop capture. Do I still have my desktop capture? I don't need you anymore. Out of the way. I don't. When did I remove that? Yeah, so window captures are a no-go, I guess. There's photo gallery. There we go. All right. So So this was one of the 3 results from the draw pile. And it's pretty easy to tell what I drew because it's all the bad stuff. But not like the good bad stuff. Like down here we've got the cursed Sonic stuff. I couldn't even begin to name all the people that worked on this, but yeah, so like up in this upper left corner where all this crappy stuff is, that's what I drew. Ted Bob has an awesome where is it? Where is it? Doggone it, is this the wrong one? Oh no, there it is, right in the center, the ACO. Alright, there, I've shown it. That's enough of that. Make sure to disable that thing. Oh, okay, why did my headset just turn off? I know it's got power. I don't need it on, but there it is. Oh, I don't have my music playing. I knew something was missing. We don't need music. All it does is cover up my... It semi-covers up my Twitch breathing, and I don't mean like Twitch like the program. I mean like the Tourette's kind. So... I don't know. I'm off track now. Should I still discuss the VShojo thing? I'm not obligated to because the title didn't come up properly. So, I don't know. You think it's worth it, Atomic? Ted Bob, you're probably at work. You probably can't answer. Okay. Alright. I'm going to discuss it. So, like I said, I know virtually nothing about it, which makes me an authority on it. Because I am a thinker, and thinkers just make it up as they go along. But not really. Sort of. Kind of. But really, we're just going to relate it all back to economics anyway, so everything is going to work out just fine. Now, here's the thing. Ironmouse comes out, and this is at, oh, what was it? 2 or 3 days ago? I came home from work. Okay, so imagine that in this weird digital world in which I live in, I actually have a job that's just, we all operate on like Bitcoin or something here. I don't know. So I work a job. Let's just go with that. That's the lore. So I come home from work for lunch, and the first thing I see is Ironmouse saying, "Oh, there's stuff happening at VShojo, and she's quitting, and they took some money from her, and they apparently had like $500,000 that I believe she donated and was supposed to go to a charity, and it did not, and she was thoroughly upset about this, which is the appropriate response, I believe." So that happened, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I wonder what's going to happen with VShojo after that. Given that Ironmouse is like the biggest thing on the planet for VTubers next to like, you know, maybe 7 or 8 of the HoloLive people. And I'm not even sure about that anymore. I mean, Ironmouse, wasn't Ironmouse like given some top YouTube streamer award at some point? I don't know if the award meant anything or not, but I mean, I vaguely remember something about people being like, how did an AI beat us? Because they didn't know it was a real person. But anyway, yeah, she's a big deal. And the only... yeah, she did break a ton of records. Not only that, but that company also has KSon, who is a former record breaker as well. And I mean, just between the two of them, the star power was insane. So the two of them leaving was it was like madness. Like the minute I heard that one other person was going and it was KSon, I was like, that company's dead. That company will be dead within days. So yeah, so the Ironmouse thing happened. I get home from work, and I look at Twitter, and just as I'm looking, I get a message from Ted Bob saying, "Hey, have you seen what's happening with VShojo?" And he told me that KSon just quit live on stream. And did you ever just get that feeling in your stomach like, oh, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And it just got more awesome from there because apparently she called the CEO. I did not watch this yet. I don't know the details about this yet. But I heard that she called the CEO, called him out on not paying her, and like called him out on all the things that were going on, and then quit live on her channel while talking to him. And honestly, Like, this is everything that I would have said to any of the CEOs I have ever worked with if they had ever been the type of person to show up in the places I worked. And it was amazing. Like, the place I work now, the CEO, I won't say he's ludicrously incompetent, because there's whole new levels to that these days. Normal incompetence was ludicrously incompetent 50 years ago. So he's just incompetent. But it's like purposeful incompetence. It's the kind of incompetence where it's like, oh, this has been like bred into newer CEOs as they came up the ladder in the past 30 years. So this is how these CEOs actually think they're supposed to run companies. This is why you end up with the situation where okay. So you have a company that is, I don't think VShoju is a publicly traded company, so this doesn't apply in those terms, but it does apply in terms of the mindset of people running companies. They are largely inexperienced, and I mean that. I mean, even if they've been working for a company for 30 years, that doesn't necessarily mean they have experience in anything. Have you ever worked in a place where someone was there for 20 years and you work with them and you're like, how has this guy been here this long and doesn't know anything? This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So you have a situation where you're a publicly traded company, and your goal is to make sure every quarter that you're more profitable for the shareholders. This is what destroys just about every large corporation in the end. And the reason for that is this. The long-term planning that it takes to operate a business into perpetuity in order to be able to continuously grow and sustain and change your technology and update the things you need to update will at times fluctuate your ability to make large moves in the market, whereupon you won't necessarily see a quarterly rise in earnings. So what happens is you lose the ability to, say, buy better equipment, because that purchase will lower your current value of business based on how much capital you have, how much you're borrowing, and what your inventories are. And so you don't want to do that right before it's, quarterly earnings time or something, because it's like, oh, that's so big. Okay, so big expense. Now you can do that, but then you have to change the. It's always like this facade of like, oh, we've made this major investment into things, but just imagine for a moment that what the shareholders don't want to hear is that you've, quote unquote, wasted a bunch of money on, say, better farm equipment. I don't think there's too many publicly traded farms. I don't know. It was the first example that came to mind. Sue me. So they see that you spend all this money and they're like, well, what's the deal? You're supposed to be making it more profitable for us every quarter. And so you're incentivized to not do that. And the problem really stems from what happened with Henry Ford back in the day. Now, I don't remember. Was it the Dodge company? Whatever happened, there was this lawsuit where Henry Ford, so the Ford company was taken to court with this whole thing about how people had shares in the company, and therefore it was an obligation for the company to increase the value of the shares. And that single court case being a loss, basically Ford loses the court case, and from then on the goal is, oh, no, you have to do everything with the shareholders in mind. Now this becomes a term of ambiguity, because really doing what's good for the shareholders would be the long-term prospect. It would be the things where it's like, we invest in the people that are the labor behind the company, we invest in the equipment to improve the efficiency of the company, and then what ends up happening, because you are now legally obligated to improve the value to shareholders in the short term, is that instead of doing the things that will actually improve the company, the quarter is coming up and you're not doing so well, and so you lay off 50 people, 10 of which are probably good employees. Maybe 7. And that becomes a detriment to further improving your company. because now you have less people to work with. You start to run into problems. The problems that arise could be anything from, say, oh, this machine can't get fixed right away, so we're losing money because we can't call a guy in because we don't have enough of them anymore. We fired like half of them. Or it could be something really fun, like, oh, we didn't have enough accountants to keep track of all of this, which is really, really bad because, like, 3 accountants can handle, like, giant, like, all the giant corporation stuff if you're really, if you give them access to all of the information. Accounting is not the most difficult part, even if you're dealing with a large company, but it is important. Like it's the most important thing, and that's where a lot of people get things screwed up. They look at the accounting part as, oh, these are the bean counters, and they're the ones that are making the decisions that are costing us our jobs. And it's like, no, 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 no. That is true to an extent, but it's usually the bean counters in the sense of, well, what's good for our stock price, not what's good for our company. If they were making the accounting decisions based on that, they would largely be doing the things that would improve improve the books. So, like, making sure there's enough staff to continue to be profitable, making sure you can get the products in and out of the building, etc., etc., making sure there's enough people to deal with customers so that they will continue giving you money. Most corporations in this moment are in a situation where they do not have the staff to keep up with any of the demand that they could have. They are losing money left and right, not because they are necessarily making bad decisions in products and services, but because they don't have enough people to sell the products and services. Go into any store and look around and see how many people are actually working. And just think to yourself, how many people need to know where something... If you've never worked retail before, you might not know this, but if you... Oh, yeah, Ted Bob knows what I'm talking about. If you ever worked retail, you understand that a lot of times people will just come up to you and be like, hey, I need to know where this is, or if I can get this, and you will inevitably find that most people, despite the fact that you might be I'm the type of person that goes into a store, knows what I need, will go and find it. It's very rare I have to ask for help. In fact, sometimes I'm in a Best Buy and like 5 people will come up to me as I'm walking around just looking at stuff. And they will be like, can I help you? Can I help you? And it annoys me, but I don't complain because that's the way you should be. Yeah. Yeah, there's some people that are just like, okay, I don't want to deal with this customer. I'm just going to walk in the back, be like, we don't have it. And there's not enough people to train the new employees that come in to really show them the ropes. They're not given enough time to know the ropes. It's like, here's a computer program that tells you your entire job in 5 minutes. Have you watched it? Okay, you are now responsible for all of this. So you've got a situation where basically there's not enough intelligence and creativity in the workplace. And inevitably, the people that rise to the top are the ones that just go with the flow and maybe understand like how some of the systems work initially until they get to the top, and then it's like everything gets changed on these stupid whims, and then they have no idea how it works, and then no one at the bottom knows how it works either. Just the whole phone app thing that has turned every job which could have been run with one program in the past into like 40 different apps that you have to be able to access, all of which also access each other, but all of which also need various authorizations at different levels. It's a nightmare right now. And then you don't even get any training for stuff like that. But yeah, so you know that people are always asking for help in these stores, and now there's never enough help in these stores. So how much of that money walks into the yes, I did call the customers money. That's exactly what you're looking at them as in this situation. How much of that money walks into the store, cannot find help, and walks right out of the store? A lot. And if you don't believe me, if you really don't, I just go take a retail job part-time on the weekends for a little while, which, if you're lucky to be able to find part-time that's actually part-time on the weekends. Yeah. Yeah, customers equals money. So now let's look at our semi-unique situation at VShojo. I agree with most people, and it's actually, this is really okay. Gonna break the fourth wall again here. I am crossing my arms while saying this in the IRLs in Erlandia, and there is a just a barely shoulder height image of Muppy on screen. And yes, it should have. But, you know, Ted Bob, you know me personally. You've made the trip to the digital lands before, so you know you know just how much I know about a lot of things. So we've had a lot of these conversations, but thanks, Atomic. Thanks a lot. Anyway, so I'm looking at this shoulder height image on the screen, and I'm sitting here with my arms crossed, and I'm just imagining that the on-screen version also has his arms crossed. So I just want you to imagine that now. I want to evoke that image in you for the rest of this. So, give my throat a second to catch up. God, maybe I do need to smoke. All right, so VShojo, you have KSon grilling the CEO live on air, which is something that should have happened. And it's unfortunate that I have to go over this again. I've already kind of given the spiel in a podcast I did with a friend. We went over the whole VShojo situation in terms of writing, of all things. We were relating it to writing. But VShojo had all this talent, literally a CEO that probably had accountants that got to do all the accounting for him, sitting on a gold mine. And here's where people get it wrong, which makes me sad because I did a little study of how to run a business before trying to run a business, which is not necessarily an easy thing to do. But there's a couple of things about running a business that are easy to do. One of those things is once you get rolling and you get comfortable with how your own personal accounting works for the business and the business starts to grow, that's when you hire other accountants and you show them what you want and how it's done. And a lot of people make a mistake at this stage. I suspect it's possible that the CEO of VShojo made this mistake, but I'm not sure I believe it. I mean, the wording of this apology that he issued kind of indicated that he did know that money was being spent inappropriately, and he should have done something about it. But I can also, just because I'm so used to the incompetence of people running companies at this point, I can chalk that up to him actually just wording it improperly. It would be a very weird improper wording, but I think it's possible that he might not have fully known where the money was going, and like was just scrambling to take care of 20 different things that weren't going right, and just it kind of got lost in the mix, and by the time all of this happened, it was too late for him to really be like, oh, I should have been on top of that, because he should have been on top of that. And the way he should have been on top of that was very simple. As a CEO, you are the hardest worker in the company, allegedly. The hardest part of a company is the logistics in the end. And I'm lying there because that's the second hardest part. The hardest part in a company is dealing with the government, but we just give that as a given. So logistics, we're going to say. So one of the things you have to do to keep on top of logistics is to keep on top of the accounting. And if you have 50 accountants, which is an excessive number in this case, I'm sure there were only a handful, but if you have several accountants, they are supposed to bring you the books every once in a while, and you're supposed to go over them. And you're supposed to be like, I should understand where the money is going and where it's coming from in my company. And it doesn't sound like, at the very least, if it wasn't purposefully mismanaging funds and committing fraud, it was definitely gross negligence, and certainly gross, it was absolutely disgusting incompetence. And I think, for the most part, the girls and like one dude that worked at VShojo, to live the dream and work at a company with shoujo in the title. They all are probably well-to-do. I can definitely assume that about Henya, because Henya seemed like she had the least reason to quit, and she was just like, well, no, this is a horrible thing to do to my coworkers, and so I'm out too. I I didn't really watch her stream on it either, but it seemed like that was the gist of what she said, according to what I heard. So, and her and KSon are I'm assuming good friends just from how many times they collabed as alter egos. So I wasn't at all surprised. When KSon said she was quitting, I knew Henya would follow. It just seemed logical. Those two have just worked together for like way too long and seemed like they got along really well now. And I'm pretty sure KSon is the reason that Henya came to VShojo. But yeah, there were 3 top talents, and it's just like, oh, these are. I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the members of VShojo, but it seems like almost everyone they've got is a pretty top talent. I just there's a couple I don't recognize, but that doesn't mean that you know I am not as knowledgeable about the high end VTubers as most people that are into it. I watch what I watch and I like it. I watch a lot more indie ones these days, and I never really watch full streams. But for those 3 to leave, and then Melody leaves, and Melody I'm pretty sure was a pretty good get at the time too, because of the hilarious controversy that was going on with her, where they were trying to get her kicked off of certain other platforms because she was doing so much better than everyone else. But it's just like that. All of them seem to be doing pretty well, and to find out that like the amounts of money that you earn doing that kind of thing when you're at that level are absolutely like 1 year of their pay is. I'd probably need to work 10 years at my current job to make what they could make in 1 year. And that might be underselling it, to be honest. So for them not to be paid for that long is an insane amount of money that the CEO would be on the lam. No, not just on the lam. He would be on the run from me personally to withhold that kind of money from me. I mean, I get pretty angry if people steal my food. Which, taking money is technically taking food. But I mean, I'm sure all of them eat quite well. I'm sure I would hope that they had the sense to save some of their money. But even if not, it's like I don't think any of them would have trouble on the indie scene at all. They will easily dominate that scene. KSon said she's not joining another company. I heard that part straight from a clip of her. Oh no. Muppy does not murder people. Muppy does not do that. As a legendary VTuber once said, I'm not a murderer. But you would prefer that. You would definitely prefer that by the time I find you. Hey, Leo. How's it going? A special deal on revenge. Me and Ted Bob are both actually legitimately trained ninjas. So we're good on getting our own revenge, but I don't know. I feel like I liked. Oh, did I? You know what? I'm looking at 2 different chat things, and they're both purple, and like there's nothing that really sticks out easily on them. Let's see. What did I miss? I should have been looking at the Twitch one since nobody's really chatting on Kick or YouTube. Leo, I don't see you in here. Did I? Oh, and you walk into the back dock, wait for 5 minutes, and okay. Because of the nature of where I work, I thought that was Ted Bob saying that. I didn't even look at the name. It was just. Yeah. Well, no, I'm looking at the one that's showing up on inside the video is the one I was looking at. Uh, wow. And your name's not Red. Atomic's name is Red. And Red Green's name is Red. You ever see Red Green? So the incompetence of CEOs in this case is largely one of not having the proper priorities. We'll put aside any misgivings. We'll put aside negligence and incompetence. You did not do your due diligence as a CEO in several capacities. One of those capacities was staying on top of the money and knowing which things were priorities. You've got obligations as the head of the company to make sure the company survives and possibly even thrives. But you at least have the obligation to do what needs to be done to survive. And like I said, they're probably not a publicly traded company, so they don't have the quarterly thing to worry about and appeasing stockholders, as far as I know. And if that's not the case, then you should definitely be saying, okay, we made a promise to a charity. We have that money here. We immediately give that money to a charity. We do not put that in our pool of resources. We do not put that somewhere where it can be spent on things related to the company other than being given to that charity. That is like a numero uno thing you have to do as a company. And then you can do your write-offs, okay? You can do whatever you want to do afterwards. The tax write-offs, that's perfectly acceptable. Nobody should be complaining about people doing tax write-offs when they give to charity, because the government is the most harmful thing in your life. Deal with it. So that's one thing. Another thing is that when you knew there was a problem, and from that apology letter, it seemed like you knew that there was a problem, and you certainly knew there was a problem when you had people asking when they were going to get paid, and you had to tell them that, oh, it'll happen, and we're just, we're a little behind or whatever. That is the time when you're supposed to get everyone together, or at the very least, all of the people that aren't getting paid. You're supposed to sit down with them and be like, look, here's our situation with the company. Here's where we are with our money. Here's where it's going. Here's what we're doing with everything right now. Here's what we're trying to do to make sure that we can get back on track and get you guys all paid. And if you give them the whole just bear with us for a little bit. We're going to make things work. But you also you can't just say that, because anyone can just say that. You also have to be like, and here's how we're going to do that. You have to show that you have a plan, because if you can't show that you have a plan, or if you just brush off people asking for what they're owed, you aren't really keeping the morale of the company. Part of a company surviving is to maintain that morale. So you get everyone together, you do that, and you show them that you have maybe not necessarily a plan, maybe not something that, it could even be something like, this might not work, but this is what we're going to try first. And you're like, and we understand if you're angry about it, we understand if people want to leave over it, but if you stick with us, we are going to try and do this. You don't soft sell it. You're just like, look, there's a situation and we want to make it right, and we're going to do what we can, and we're going to make it a priority. You do make it a priority too, especially in the case of VShojo. This was a company that had nothing without these people. Literally nothing. They didn't even have the channels or the characters in this case, which I think is the way that you should do it as a corporate, a VTuber corporation. And I know that there's a lot of bad business reasons that you wouldn't want to do that for. Like, you don't just want to have talent that's going to up and leave on you all the time. But the reason I say you should do it is because that gives you an incentive to do the best you can for the people that work with you, so that they will do the best they can to make sure you make money. And I know that this is an assumption that those people will do the best they can for you as well, but think about it. What will happen to the people that are just there for like a free ride and are like, I can leave anytime because I own this channel and I own this character? They're the ones that aren't going to give you their best anyway. The ones that are actually going to give you the best want to stick around and want to be a part of that and aren't thinking like that. You will weed out the chaff in the company that really doesn't want to be there. You will have people that will want to help you make it something great. And this is what's missing in the modern business world. The people at the top aren't there because they really want to make something great. A lot of the people at the bottom are disillusioned because everywhere they work, they've never been anywhere where trying to make the place better has reaped any reward for them whatsoever. It's not just it's not like a Gen Z thing or a Gen Alpha thing either. I'm a pretty old dude, and I can tell you that I have never seen that in my entire life. I have never been anywhere where the people that were running the companies were there legitimately trying to make it something wonderful that could be that could last for a long time, that could put out superior products and find superior talent and train people up for a next generation of people that are going to work there. It's never happened. Do you know how many jobs I've had? I have had 29 jobs in my life. And this isn't a case of someone who has gone into job after job and been an idiot and been fired. I mean, I'm definitely an idiot. Let's not make any mistakes there. But I have never been fired but for 3 times, all 3 of which are stories for another time. All were bullcrap. One of them I was fired because I was the only one working there that was not working there as an illegal alien. I was the only person who was a citizen of the country that was employing me, and they decided that I was paid too much, which was weird because, like, the guy from Germany was being paid way more than me. He was not there legally. And I bet you all thought, you're all racist. You all thought I was going to say it was Spanish people. That's a joke. That's a joke that Mexican people and Spanish people are very similar. You're supposed to laugh. But no, it was, so like the highest paid guy there was this German guy. And he's just like, yeah, no, I'm not working here legally. I don't have a visa or anything. So they're just helping me. It's like, whatever, but it's like, at least don't fire me. I mean, why did I get the axe? I was doing a good job. And I don't know, I guess it was at a Japanese restaurant too. That was the weird thing. It was like everyone there except for the one Japanese sushi chef who quit, who was like part owner in it, who was like, this place is stupid, I'm leaving. He was the only other one there, besides the people that owned it, that could legally work in the United States. So, yeah. So that was one that I got fired from. Another one, it was actually my last job. I worked there for 4 years, never missed a day, called off once because I got a flat tire. A year later, they fired me, and the reason that they gave was me calling off for a flat tire the year before. I was 3 days away from getting an enormous raise. That was the last straw for me, by the way. I came into the job I currently work at not caring about anything. And you know what? It didn't matter. Didn't matter one bit. And they still think I do an awesome job there. They tried to put me into management. I was like, no. You think I'm going to do management for this place? Yeah, well, I mean, it was, but it paid well. And it was going to pay a lot more, and I think that's why they got rid of me. Ted Bob knows. He knows the full story. I'm not going to tell you all the full story because I tell it a lot. But yeah, this is really the problem. Like say what you want about Henry Ford. Henry Ford wanted to create a job in which people could afford the product he was making. So he said, okay, I'm going to mass produce cars so I can sell them cheaply. And he did that. And the people that worked for him could afford the cars. I worked at a car place. I couldn't afford any of the cars they made. That is where we are at. Of course, at this point, they just assume you're going to lease anyway. So it's just like, oh, well, you could have afforded that. It's like, yeah, I could have afforded that. Could I have afforded the insurance that would have had to have been full coverage since I'm leasing? Yeah, no, I couldn't afford that. So, no, I can't afford your stupid car. And it was a stupid car. Everything on it was made of plastic. And it's a car that people love. And it's a car that people It has a special meaning to all of them. The people who buy it tend to have obsessions with it, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't need to tell you that Jeeps suck. Which, that could have just been four letters that were variables for another car that I might be talking about. So I guess maybe I'll just cover that up by saying it's the one that people buy a lot of ducks for and sit on the windshield. That one. Trash cars made of plastic, don't drive well. I test drove them. That was one of my jobs. I test drove them. And the only one that drove well was the Sport two-door. Of whatever that might be. So yeah, I did a much more ranty, in-depth thing about the whole V Shoujo situation with my boy Koronick over on the Wordy Pair podcast. Oh geez, yeah, the Christmas bonus for full timers, couple $100, and part timers, little baggie with a bit of candy in it. Yeah, that was. Well, it wasn't because they were full-time people, though. It was because that was a union job, and unions are the most garbage thing. Yeah, think about that. So this was a job that fired me because I called off a year previous. That was the excuse they gave me. And when I called the union, the only time I have ever called the union to be like, this is bullcrap in my entire life, the union just straight up didn't even hesitate, was just like, we can't help you with this. Oh, geez, I didn't even know about that. You are talking about the place I think you're talking. You're not talking about your current place, right? Yeah, I was I was shocked at. Oh yeah, I mean yeah, that place too, right? I mean, not that I'm necessarily implying that they're the ones that make the trash cars that I don't know why people would spend $60,000 on these plasticky pieces of junk. Okay, well, since we're talking about that place now, I'm going to tell you another story. Since we're just straight up making fun of workplaces now, it's time for another rant. This one's not going to be as energetic because it's actually legitimately like, how do these places operate kind of story. One of my jobs at this magical place in the digital world that we'll call Chrysler. Oh yeah, no, don't. No big deal. I don't think they were going to call anytime soon, and if they did, I would just cuss them out. I will never buy a Chrysler again. I will never work for them again, with the exception of them paying me $1 million a year, largely to yell at them. That would really help. Pad it with $1 million. Let me yell at you, and actually, Okay. So here's the deal: $1 million a year, which is less than your CEO makes, and give me all the authority over the CEO to make decisions, and I will make that the most profitable car company in the world within 5 years. Easy. Because I will ignore all of the laws that say we should appease the shareholders. And I will just make it such a profitable company in such a short time that the shareholders will not care and no one will sue us over it. Well, yeah, the yelling will be free. I'll do that even if they invite me in to offer me a job. I'm just going to yell at them. But yeah, there was this moment when I worked there. Get on stream, Atomic, and then we'll buy you a Subway sandwich. One of my jobs, so I may have been the only person in that entire building that did every single assembly line job at some point. And I was only there for 4 years. So, yeah, there was a Subway in the Chrysler building, and it was the trashiest Subway ever. But yeah, I learned every job in that building. Obviously, the person that I did. Well, since I'm telling the whole story anyway, the day before they fired me, my boss came around and was asking everyone if they could. They were looking for a volunteer. We didn't work on the assembly line in my usual job, but we got pulled to it sometimes when there were short people. So uh, my boss goes around looking for volunteers to go to the assembly line. He's asking everyone, and everyone's saying no, and like half the people are just like, if you try to make me, I'm going to call the union. Because that's how people operated there. By the way, laziest bunch of pricks I ever worked with. Almost all of them had Netflix on their phones and would set it, they would set their phones inside the boxes with screws in them, where people were constantly trying to reach to find parts to put on things, and they would be watching Netflix while working either on the assembly line or in the I don't even remember what the area was called, but like the parts area where we ready the parts for the assembly line. That's where I worked most of the time, and so I was always ahead of the game, and these people were always behind, and that drives me up a wall. I know. I mean, it's the thing that makes me the angriest about unions. The thing that makes me angriest should be that they're bullies, essentially. But honestly, the thing that makes me angriest is that people get away with not doing their job. Legitimately, just watching, you're on a 10-hour shift and you watch 8 hours worth of Netflix while working and slowing down everyone else. And everyone's doing this too. So like everyone's just adding to the slowdown. And here's poor little me with my earplugs in, just trying to get the job done. And I'm ready to go, and I've got to wait. And I've got to wait for the person after me. I can't continue my job because the person after me hasn't finished theirs yet, and they're supposed to be moving in tandem. But anyway, my boss goes around, asks everyone. They don't want to do it. He comes up to me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go. And he goes, I love having you here because you're like the only person who doesn't give me crap when I ask you to do something. You've never once given me crap when I've asked you to do something. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And so he drove me to the assembly line, and it actually makes me angry that my last day there, I worked assembly. But yeah, so I worked a crappy job on the assembly line for 10 hours, went home, came in the next day, my card didn't work. I was not told I was fired. I could not get a hold of anyone in the building to tell me if something was wrong with my card, which is what I assumed, and nobody could let me in. It took me 2 weeks of calling people, and eventually some guy from either from India or with a heavy Indian accent in America to tell me that he had no record of my identification. At which point I called the union, and they were like, oh yeah, they fired you, and we're not going to help you. 2 weeks I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this job. You think I'm ever going to say a good thing about Chrysler again? If I buy a Chrysler, it's going to be an old one that Chrysler will not get money for. Some classic car that's cool. I will not give that company money, and I will never recommend them for anything, ever. I think you can understand my sentiment. So if I was talking about something earlier that I didn't finish, I don't remember it now, so I think we're just done with that. Yeah, there was a lot of people that drank on the job. I remember one time they found one of the high-low drivers was inside the paper waste box, the big paper waste box, covered in paper. And the only reason anyone knew he was in there was because one of his boots was sticking out. He was like 10 minutes away from someone picking him up with a high-low and dumping him in a compactor. And it was just like, all they did was revoke his license for the high-low for like 3 weeks. It's like, dude, you could have died, and you could have caused trouble for the person who would have dumped you into that thing. And yeah, and there was a guy that ran into a pole. They took away his high-low license. He was drunk at the time, but they didn't fire him. The union will protect anyone that is an abysmal worker. But by God, if you call off of work because you got a flat tire a year ago, oh, they're going to remember that. UAW can suck it. Thoughts? Should we get back to economics? Ted Bob missed all the coffee talk. I'm not going to go over it again, though. It was fun. Coffee talk is fun. The dude that the union wanted to fire because he couldn't call off because he was unconscious. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The union wanted to get rid of this dude. And so they tried to use him not calling off as an excuse, but he couldn't call off because he'd been hit by a car. I remember that. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I know wait, no, I might be getting my stories confused. I don't remember if it was you that told me about it or if I talked to the guy at some point and he told me about it. Yeah, guy was legit hit by a car, and he was just someone the union didn't like, so they were like, well, he didn't call off, so we should get rid of him. I hope he sued them into oblivion, which I know he didn't, but I hope someone got sued into oblivion at that company. Yeah, I vaguely remember. It sounds like you're the one that talked to him and you told me that story. I think that's what happened. Yeah. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Okay, so do we need to talk more economics? There's a reason I brought up economics, by the way. I actually, about 3 weeks ago, I was on Twitter and someone said something about talking about educational things on something, and I was like, dude, should I talk economics? I don't even know who the person was. It was just some random person I came across, I think. Either that or someone that I don't remember off the top of my head. And he was just like, I dare you. So I remembered that. I'm going to go through my replies and find that one and be like, I told you I'd do it. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's really much more I want to say about VShojo. I'm glad to see them all going indie. At least I'm assuming all of them are. I know KSon said she's not going to work for a company anymore. I definitely outlined my case for more people going indies a little better on the wordy pair. I believe if I could give a short version of it, it's just that VTuber corporations aren't necessarily a bad thing, but they've gotten there's reasons for them having a very bad rap at the moment, and I think that's going to ultimately descend into a lot of them splitting up, assets being sold, things splitting into smaller companies, and in this case, I think there won't be too many small. There might be a lot of like smaller VTuber agencies that pop up, but they'll have a more independent feel to them. I don't really know how big the agency that Yomi Quinley is with is, the Sox agency. But I feel like it's a smaller one, and they will probably be much more like a family of people that got together and did it, not like, blood related, but like, hey, 5 people that found each other that were cool, and it's like, let's make a company. I feel like a lot of the people at Sox probably get along well, but that's just from my like small viewing lens through watching Yomi's stuff and seeing her on Twitter. So I think that will happen, and you'll have a lot more people that just want to be able to trust the people they work with. And I also think that a lot more there will be a lot less superstars in that. It kind of like in Hollywood, where you don't really have the superstars that you had in the 80s and 90s anymore. You've got a lot of like smaller like movies are moving more towards like smaller budget things and newer people cropping up, but you're not getting that superstar thing. Same with music. It's kind of done are the days where like everything is a big superstar CD album release thing, and big Hollywood movies with Sylvester Stallone and Jim Carrey and whatnot. No, I think I think the smaller budget thing is destined to happen because those companies are out of money. They do not have it. Disney owes money. AT&T owes money. They don't have a lot of that loose cash to throw around. All of those companies are going to be broken up, and they'll probably have a lot of their assets purchased by smaller independent studios, which will make maybe not as good like CG, amazing, explosive, cool movie stuff like that. But they might have to go back to making movies that are genuinely interesting because of the content. You know, the old movies of the 40s and 50s where everything had to be driven by the dialogue that people had because it was the only real option you had at the time. Yeah, they're going to keep spending hoping that they can get that big billion-dollar break, but it's just not going to happen. They'll maybe have like one or two success stories, but like who owns Call of Duty? Is it Ubisoft? Ubisoft was the billion-dollar game company, and they were the ones that like really kind of pushed that to happen. Oh, it was Activision. Okay, so it was Activision that had like the Call of Duties that made billion-dollar games, um, and they haven't really um, cultivated new talent in any of these places. So like the Avengers stuff, when they were making those movies and they were wildly successful, they weren't really cultivating any new talent to be able to play the other superheroes for the other franchises that they might have wanted to pick up on. And so everything is kind of just falling apart as a mess. They didn't cultivate any sensible like writer's farm where they could, you know, get people in and find out if they were good at doing it or not. They're just like, oh, this is a name. This is someone who wrote something. Let's get them in here and let's see who they bring with them. And I think that Hollywood has just been destroyed by clicks and nepotism at this point, not to mention billions of dollars wasted on projects that anyone that goes to movies could have said, nobody's going to want to watch this. Like anyone. Even the people that are gung-ho about the franchises. Just like, you know, this is garbage. Why would you think I'd want to see this? They don't have their feelers out there to understand the audience anymore. They don't listen to not just the audience, but like the people that are there that know the material and are pretty much the audience themselves that could tell them. Those people don't get listened to. They're brushed off. You know, they're like authors that get a movie deal. You bring the author in and they're in a room full of people spouting ideas, and they've got other writers in there that are going to be working on the script, and the author's just like, well, why don't we just do this? This is what I wrote. And they look at the author as though the author is some kind of drooling idiot. Like, why are you here, and why do you think you're a pro at this? What makes you think you can do this? It's like, well, buddy, I wrote the story that everyone loves that you're going to make the movie based off of. That's essentially what happens to an author at a Hollywood movie pitch or in a Hollywood when they're getting ready to make the movie. It's like they just straight up don't listen to them. And I think a lot of authors understand that, well, at the very least, it'll increase my book sales to have a movie out there, and that's basically why they do it. Yeah, and that's the general opinion I have, but I can't take credit for that exact story because that is exactly what happened to Larry Correia when they were talking about making a Monster Hunter movie. He's just like, yep, he's in the room making suggestions, and when he leaves, there's a guy in there that's just like, yeah, they're not going to listen to you. I wish they would, but they're not going to listen to you. That's just how it is here. They weren't paying attention to a single thing you said. Corporate world. Yeah, this is why I mean, obviously I'm not here for the money because I let Ted Bob in here, and there's no quicker way to say to say don't spend your money here than to bring Ted Bob in, of all people, and start gabbing with him. Ted Bob, not a moneymaker. We don't make money off of selling Ted Bob hats and there you go. But Ted Bob should be making money. Ted Bob... Dude, Atomic, you're like the biggest draw to this channel. What are you talking about? Half the time I start up and it's like, what the heck am I going to talk about? And then you say something. It's like, good, I've got something now. I can go for half an hour. But yeah, Ted Bob should be making money. He should be drawing more stuff and selling it. I'm not going to say that necessarily he should be drawing book covers for certain people that he may know that write books who need book covers and can't themselves draw. I'm not going to say that at all. But that might be one thing you could do. I want to be canceled by Germany. I bet they didn't know that they had people working illegally in the United States from Germany. I bet they think that they're pristine and they just they do not have the hideous flatulence, but rather a cinnamony fresh scent. Do it. Rule 34 some muppy. Dude, you and I would both make more money if we did that. Integrity is the biggest money loser on the planet, and I hate that I have it in such quantities. Could you imagine explaining that one to people we know? Let's say hypothetically that there was something outside of the digital world, some physical world where someone like a muppy could exist. Hypothetically speaking, it's entirely possible that Ted Bob and Muppy are blood related. It's not technically me. It's just a picture representing me. I'm gonna get people to do it. I'm gonna get people to Rule 34 the crap out of Muppy. No. I'm gonna get people to do it of their own volition. Clapping Donuts would definitely do it if I paid him. But my goal is to actually get people interested just enough to do Rule 34 Muppy. Once that happens, I'll know I have succeeded in this. But it probably shouldn't be Ted Bob. That would be just a touch weird. Who says I haven't already? It could be Tourette's. It could be. That could be why I say it all the time. A few VTubers that would do what? Whip it out? That is a little sus. We didn't need to know that, Restream. This is what I mean. Like, this should be an option that you have to turn on. Oh, you think yours is? You think yours is? I'm 43 in 2025 with a myopic twink VTuber representation that's telling his brother to Rule 34 him. I am the GOAT. Alright, you know what would... Well, I mean, technically part of the lore is Muppy is a time traveler. Muppy talks in third person sometimes. I'm debating whether I like first or third person best for my next book. My favorite book that I wrote was all done in first person. And it made for fun character development. Predestination? What do you mean? Why do I need to become predestination? Explain. Explain, human. The film? Is this something I should watch? I was gonna watch Rambo 2 this weekend, but I can postpone that. Oh my god, I saw that movie. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. That was weird, but it was interesting. When I finally saw where it was going, I was like, like I kind of figured out like about a quarter into it that something like that was going on, but I wasn't sure what direction they were going with it. And in the end, it was like, oh, okay, that was actually kind of a cool twist to it. I was I was in, I think that was like 2 or 3 years ago that I watched it. I was in a really big sci-fi time travel kick, and I was just watching anything I could find. There are a lot of bad time travel movies out there. It's just I was fresh off of rewatching Steins Gate, and I was just like, I want more. I need to rewatch H.G. Wells' The Time Traveler. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I remember it was okay. It wasn't the greatest movie I'd ever seen, but it's definitely one that could warrant a rewatch. I kind of want to go full-blown talking about economics right now, but it takes a lot of energy to do that. And actually, I'm a bit rusty. I need to reread the books so that I remember some of the terminology that's slipping my mind, because I'm 43 and senile. It's funny. Kornick from the Wordy Pair always tells me that I have an awesome memory. I'm not so sure. It depends on what I'm remembering, I guess. Reinvented trains and called them pods? I don't know what you're referring to. It's probably so stupid that I every couple of weeks. Why have I not heard of this? Is this just one of them things where I like casually glance at someone saying, "Oh, this guy is just reinventing the train," and so I pass it up because I know he's right? Are they reinventing the train or the monorail? Not in touch with the youngins no more. It's literally all I talk to on Twitter and Twitch at this point. When once you get to my age, nobody wants to talk to you. Even the people that are your age. What? Do you think I am not hip and or cool? Are you claiming that I am sus? Am I a sussy baka? I have four, and I'm one of them, so I have three, thank you very much. I don't know. I think I might have to stop using Restream. I think I might have to just stick with Twitch until it dies, and then move on to probably not even YouTube. I don't know. Maybe YouTube, maybe Kick. There's not many opportunities these days. If you didn't get into the whole YouTube thing early, it's not. I mean, there's still some opportunities, but it's not like it used to be. And I'm only doing this for fun for now. Um, when I finally do ultimately fail with all the writing, I will slow down my writing and I will probably do this a little bit more. But you're not going to get me away from writing. I enjoy it too much. I'll probably start making visual novels when the books fail. What, fail? I didn't already fail at writing? No, I didn't fail at writing yet because I haven't given it a big push yet. I haven't really advertised anything. You have to actually make the attempt before you. I've written books, I just haven't made money on them yet, and I haven't tried particularly hard. After I finish the current one I'm writing, that's when I get to try hard. I wanted to have at least three full-size novels under my belt before trying to really get everything else done. And once those are done, I have like four short story collections I can put out. That is true, but surprisingly, even though like one of my books has a succubus in it, I don't have that kind of stuff in my books. I make a lot of jokes about it. Lots of jokes about it, especially with the succubus. No actual scenes of it, though. Throat's dying. Dying. Okay, I think I'm back. I should write something totally debaucherous under another name. Just to see what happens. And then make $1 million and be like, shoot, I have to do this again. No, but really, I'd probably just be like, all right, made $1 million. I never have to do this again. And I'm going to go write the good stuff now. It's weird because, like, I am doing the weirdest things I can possibly imagine in terms of writing these stories. So, like, every time someone reads a Muppy book, it's like reading a totally different author, almost, except, like, the sense of humor is relatively the same in a lot of it. So, like, I wrote The Good Guy, and that was a first-person perspective with 3 characters that were traveling and having a bunch of cool fights and going on little adventures. And, you know, the main character, whose perspective you were seeing, she gets to have a lot of fun things happen that are just like, oh, and in the end, this is the person you became compared to who you were when you started. You know, the whole character development thing. But like, it was probably the most fun one I did in terms of that. But then, like, in the Rackin', uh, which that was a sci-fi novel. It was a collection of 6 short stories that were kind of like Lovecraftian horror meets space travel, which I guess technically that's the same thing. But most of those things took place on Earth, so, you know. But yeah, far future space stuff mixed with eldritch horrors and unknowable evil. And that one was also done in a first person perspective, and it was with a very similar character as the one in The Good Guy, except she did not, like, in the end, become much more than she started as. It was just like she just became more and more aware that there were horrible things out there that she had to watch out for. Her entire growth was just like, well, I guess my life is taking care of a drug addicted captain and trying not to get eaten by monsters. So that's fun. I wrote that one to be more like the Dirty Pair novels, which, if you haven't read them, are fantastic. I based those characters off of Kay and Yuri from the Dirty Pair. Uh, Character-wise, they're not very similar, but, like, every image of them in my head is. I kind of based their features off of Kay and Yuri a lot. And since I wasn't going to straight up copy the Dirty Pair, uh, instead of the Dirty Pair had Moogie, which was this, like, dog panther creature that had an electronic antenna connection to their ship, the Lovely Angel. In the case of the Rackin', they had an engineer who was like 80% robot because of an accident he was in that the captain had saved him from. And so he was their Moogie, essentially. I even gave him weird little antenna things that he could use with his, cybernetic parts. Let's see. So the new book is strange because I wrote it in third-person perspective, which is my preferred method of writing. But, like, that's going to really mess with people that I shifted around all the time. I actually, when I wrote The Good Guy, I would go from first-person perspective for the main characters to third-person perspective for these tiny little scenes with the bad guys, just kind of like showing what they're doing for a brief moment to kind of build the idea that they're a big threat for the good guys, which they are not. That's the joke. It was fun. I'm tired. Me and Atomic have anime to watch too, so I should probably wrap things up. Are you still up for it, Atomic? Do you still want to watch Arslan? We can make fun of it live next time. We can watch it and then talk about how silly it is. Yeah. I'm just shaking my head back and forth here. Like, no, Atomic. We do. We do. I'm nodding. You can't see that because my model doesn't nod. My voice is really going. But yeah, I'm going to finish this book up. I'm going to try to. I'm going to enter it in the KDP contest they have going to the end of August, and I might even enter a second book in it that uh, it's not a full length book, but I don't think that they have any real limit in size as long as it's something that is bookish. What is it? Quest of the Vampire Lords is roughly 23 or somewhere between 23 and 27,000 words, which makes it a novella, I guess. So I could throw a cover on that and add that to the contest. I think that larger books have more of a shot at it, but I love entering the writing contests. It would be nice to win one of the big ones one time, but I win a lot of the small ones, so I'm happy with that. And this one's a doozy. This one would be very nice to even get an honorable mention in. And if not, I'll just have to keep writing good stuff and convince people to buy it. Or I'll turn them all into visual novels and then people will actually care, because it's amazing. Like, nobody actually likes reading, but then they don't count visual novels as reading for some reason, and everyone plays those. Okay, yeah, I'm just rambling now. I don't have anything else to talk about. We're going to end this. We're going to end this real quick here. As soon as I remember how my Stream Deck works. Let's see. It's not this, not that button. That's the glasses button. I'll leave it up to your imagination if I did that on purpose or not. All right. Good on y'all for joining. We will have to do this again sometime. Sometime soon. It looks like I'm falling asleep live on stream and I'm not even blinking. That's just me not looking at the camera properly. All right. Ted Bob, I will see you in person at some point. And Atomic, I will catch you on some anime watching fun right after this. And whoever that third person is, if that's still Leo, I know I saw someone drop out and drop back in. Or maybe a new person came in. But yeah. You're cool too. I'm out.